The chapter starts off with a little girl happily running along with her ice cream, only to be nudged by an uncaring Atamadal, one of the divine visionaries who turned up at Mashle's trial, who does not even look at the child he just smacked into and caused her to drop her ice cream, his stone expression leaving the little girl on the verge of tears, apologizing to him. For someone who is at the top of their society and considered one of God's chosen to be such an uncaring asshole really explains why this society is so messed up. Then we transferred over to where the last chapter left us off, with Mash walking out towards the arena only to be cut off on his path by Uta. To him, Mash is not human because he does not meet up to his standards of being human, saying that as long as he is around, he won't let people acknowledge his existence. This is an extreme version of discrimination, denying Mash the right to being human because of how he was born. Uta is a representation of everything wrong with this society of elitist mages who don't care about the individual so much as they care about maintaining the system of discrimination because it benefits them. Mash walks right past him, but as he does so his muscles begin to twitch and he responds to them as if they are talking, even mouthing to himself that he does not mean it, giving all his muscles names as if they were some sort of imaginary friends. Which when taken out of its comedic light is actually quite depressing. Mash grew up alone with only his father to keep him company, without anyone his own age to make friends with and having nothing but exercise to occupy his time, him pretending his muscles are his friends even into his teenage years to combat his loneliness is understandable. Before stepping out into the arena, Mash confirms his resolve to take Uta with all his might and by extension the society he represents. And as Mash finally steps into the arena, of course the crowd could not stay quiet about this, demanding that Mash go home and that he is disgusting to them. As he stands there, LeBlanc Russell comments about what the point of his fighting to be a divine visionary if even Mash can be a candidate, asking if it is a mistake. They are all acting like sheep, following in line with what they have been indoctrinated to believe about those without magic despite knowing nothing about him. However, isn't having any of it and starts to yell at the crowd declaring that Mash earned his right to be there, proving that out of the main cast outside of Mash indirectly, is the most outspoken about his issues with the current society that they live in, given how he was willing to stand up for Mash in such a public manner, even if he only did it because Mash is his friend. Meanwhile Finn is thinking about how he should be supporting Mash because the outcome of the exam determines Mash's entire life, or rather it determines how quickly his life comes to an end. As he attempts to comfort him, Mash blandly says he wants to go home. Which Finn does not blame him for, given how much of an inferiority complex he seems to have to his brother as well as his seemingly cowardly nature. It's a good sign that he was willing to push himself to at least try and comfort Mash despite the former not really needing it. With the 12 candidates finally having arrived, the announcer declares how the tournament is to begin, with a survival game, which takes place in what is called the Dead Servant's Haunt, a typical creepy-looking woodland filled with dead-looking trees. To complete the game they must find a hidden key, inside the bladder of a troll goosefish which requires they be popped like a balloon all the while. 3 dead servants, which look like giant muscular goat people wearing aprons and carrying cleavers, looking sort of like a goat pyramid head, are chasing them down. With each of these reveals we can see Finn's confidence crumble bit by bit until eventually he is left sobbing on the ground as he realizes just how fully out of his depth he really is. They must pass this elimination round to move on to the real test, and Magic Rafflesian mirrors will be watching them to make sure they do not cheat. I have no idea how they could cheat given the circumstances, since they have not had any rules explained to them about how they must accomplish their goals. Everyone then gets teleported to their starting position, which appear to be just random spots within the haunt. As LeBlanc finds himself in confrontation with a dead servant, he attempts to cast a spell at the goat monster, only to find out that they are completely immune to magic. He does not get a chance to make use of this information however, as he gets a large cleaver swung at him. The moment you get hit you're eliminated and sent back to the arena with the pain that comes from it along with the no doubt humiliation that comes from it too. But at least this society isn't messed up to go around killing children for the sake of proving themselves, although I don't doubt given how arrogant people are in this world, they might have preferred death than utter humiliation like that. Dot thinks they just must run. Lance thinks that it's a poor test unless there is some sort of unrevealed strategy, and Max Land thinks that they are testing their ability to use magic to escape. This causes the announcer to declare that the dead events are just stand-ins, and that the stage was created just for the purpose of showing them that retreat when faced with a superior opponent is always an option. The first stage of the tournament is to run and run well. So the first step to becoming a divine visionary is to learn not to overstep yourself and always be aware of the fact you're no invincible. Now if only those who become a divine visionary would actually remember this humbling experience. Dot declares the school is messed up, which given how the teachers have acted up till now and the fact it allows all sorts of violence to go on within it, of course the school is messed up, still not as bad as Hogwarts yet but it's getting there. Finn still crying alone in the woods. It's kind of annoying to see him lose his cool so quickly, but I guess this is part of who he is and his character development down the line will be grateful for it. The crowd comments on how weak this year's candidates are after the first one was eliminated in less than a minute, to which another responds that last year they had rain. There is no comparison between him and this year's group of candidates. As the announcer declares that it's time to run for their lives, Mash does what he always does, he hits the enemy head-on and he seems to crush its ribs, causing it to collapse as the crowd busts into shock, yelling about how he took it out in one hit and how you're supposed to succeed by running, while LeBlanc yells about how he couldn't score a hit on them. With Mash declaring it's time to go find the key. It is good to see Mash is motivated to do his best, but I wonder if Mash even knows what a troll goosefish is or if he has any idea on how to find one. Not only that, but I can't help but feel like either Otter has set something up to get in Mash's way or Margaret will go after him as he had originally planned to do. Either way, this is shaping up to be just like the Triwizard Tournament, with all sorts of outside factors influencing the outcome in the way that they hope, with some considerable cheating going on at the very least from Mutter, who is dead set on stop Mash's progression.